Episode 255, Prompt Like a Pro.
The primitive forms of artificial intelligence we already have proved very useful.
AI is a golden opportunity.
How do we ensure that this technology is regulated?
The long arc of technological history is now in an extraordinary new phase.
The AI6 Podcast with Joanne Sweeney.
A new research study has produced a set of prompts so that we can prompt like pros. Of course, I have a whole chapter in my book, AI Playbook, on prompting. But I do love research to test methods and approaches, and so I had to share this with you. Hello and welcome back to AI6, the podcast that teaches you AI in just 6 minutes a day. And on Saturdays, we have the long listen. I'm your host, Joanne Sweeney, committed to teaching you AI for free and in a really simple and accessible way. So this episode is all about the moves that make your prompts work harder. A paper produced at the end of last year called Principled Instructions Are All You Need for Questioning. I know it's very academic. Well, it tested lots of prompt patterns and pulled out 26 simple instructions that reliably boosted LLM, large language model, performance. Later studies on automatic prompt optimization more or less confirm the same thing. You don't need magic incantations. You need clear instructions, structure, and yes, a bit of discipline. So rather than unpacking the paper line by line, this episode turns those ideas into prompts you can actually paste into ChatGPT or your favorite large language model. So category number 1, clarity and audience prompts. Here are a few ways to get explanations that match where you are, not what the model assumes where you are. So your task is to explain X topic using clear, plain English for a curious beginner. Avoid the jargon unless you define it. Explain this topic as if I'm an 11-year-old. Then give me a short, more technical version for an expert audience. Or the final example, summarize this document or this issue for a time-poor decision maker. 3 bullet points on what it is, why it matters, and what decision is needed. Provide data as backup evidence. So these prompts bring in the audience, the purpose, and the style instead of assuming what the model will guess. Category number 2 on prompts, break the work into steps. Complex tasks usually involve the model hallucinating or breaking mid-conversation. So what you should do is break it down into simple tasks. For example, your task is to help me with this goal. First, list the key steps that we should take. Then ask me questions to fill in any gaps. Only after that, propose a detailed plan. Another option is to say, think step by step. Restate the problem, list your assumptions, outline your approach in bullet points, then carry it out, numbering each step. This ensures that you see the model completing the tasks in those numbers so you see it fully transparently, in accordance with your direction. And then finally, another option. For this question, generate 2 different solution options. Compare their pros and cons, and then recommend one with a brief explanation. So these are brilliant prompts in order for you to direct the model in a way where you're the guide and it's not just predicting the next word. The third category of prompts is called role and rules. So, in this instance, you're assigning a role and clear constraints to the model. As an example, you are a senior communication strategist in local government. Your task is to review my draft and suggest concrete improvements that make it clearer and more persuasive without changing the underlying message. Another example, act as a critical friend. First, tell me what is strong about this idea. Then, list the main risks or the weaknesses. Finish with a revised version that addresses the top 3 issues. And a third example, From now on, treat everything I send as part of one project. Always use UK English, keep the tone professional but warm, and always provide headings and bullet points where helpful. So now you're just embedding the role, the tone, the language, and the formatting as explicit rules rather than hoping the system remembers. So the fourth category of prompting is bias, safety, and uncertainty. We need to ensure that the model is not giving us biased information, and we wanted to avoid stereotypes. So here are some prompt examples. Ensure that your answer is unbiased and does not rely on stereotypes. If the question could lead to unfair assumptions, briefly flag them and suggest a fairer framing. Another option. If you are uncertain or information is missing, you need to say it to me explicitly and tell me what extra context you would need to give a stronger answer. And a third option, when discussing people or groups, focus on behaviours, systems, and evidence rather than personal characteristics or cliches. So these prompts are really useful in policy and education, HR, and in any industry where a stereotype can do real harm. So then the fifth category of prompting, editing and style matching. Improve the grammar, the clarity and the flow of this text, but keep my tone, my level of formality and sentence length as similar as possible. Another example. Here is a writing sample that shows my style. Please learn this style, then draft a new piece on this topic and make it feel that it was written by the same person. So you're training the model. And then finally, another option, suggest 3 alternative openings and 3 alternative closing paragraphs for this article, keeping the middle section unchanged. These are all really strong core prompts. And if you have them to hand and you train your models, but then your AI assistants, it will mean that they will produce far more improved content and also stick in line with your rules, your constraints, your tone of voice, and improve the output. If you want to copy and paste these prompts and save them down, jump over to my websites, digitaltraininginstitute.ie or publicsectormarketingpros.com, and you can get the show notes for this episode there. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a pro that you know and help me reach 500,000 people with AI6. If you want me to speak at your event, train your team, or help you build out AI use cases, drop me an email to joanne@digitaltraining.ie. And don't forget, the perfect companion to this podcast is my book, AI Playbook. You can get it on Amazon or at aiplaybook.ie. I'll talk to you on the next show.